Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Giribharadhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Giribharadhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Giribharadhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhav, Jaya Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Jaya Radha Madhav. Jaya Panchatattva, Jaya Panchatattva, Panchatattva, Jaya Panchatattva. Jaya Prahlad Singha, Jaya Prahlad Singha, Jaya Prahlad Singha, Jaya Prahlad Singha. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Shri Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nigamakalpataruragalitam phalam sukamukadamrita darvasamyutam Vipata Bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udhirayet Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavat yuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter number 16. How Parikshit received the age of Kali, text number 13, 14 and 15. So I'll read the 13 and 14 and then we will repeat the verse number 15. It's a string of 3 verses. Tatra tatropaśṛṇvānaḥ sva-pūrveṣāṁ mahā-tmanām pragīyamāṇaṁ ca yaśaḥ kṛṣṇa-māhātmya-sūcakam ātmānaṁ ca paritrātam aśvatthāmno stra-tejasaḥ snehaṁ ca vṛṣṇi-pārthānāṁ teṣāṁ bhaktiṁ ca keśave. The 15th verse, which is on the board, we'll repeat. Tebhyaḥ parama-santuṣṭaḥ prīty-ujjṛmbhita-locanaḥ mahā-dhanāni vāsāṁsi dadau hārān mahā-manāḥ tebhyaḥ parama-santuṣṭaḥ tebhyaḥ parama-santuṣṭaḥ prīty-ujjṛmbhita-locanaḥ prīty-ujjṛmbhita-locanaḥ mahā-dhanāni vāsāṁsi mahā-dhanāni vāsāṁsi dadau hārān mahā-manāḥ dadau hārān mahā-manāḥ tebhyaḥ parama-santuṣṭaḥ prīty-ujjṛmbhita-locanaḥ mahā-dhanāni vāsāṁsi 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 dadau hārān mahā-manāḥ. Matajis. Tebhyaḥ parama-santuṣṭaḥ prīty-ujjṛmbhita-locanaḥ mahā-dhanāni vāsāṁsi dadau hārān mahā-manāḥ tebhyaḥ parama-santuṣṭaḥ prīty-ujjṛmbhita-locanaḥ mahā-dhanāni vāsāṁsi dadau hārān mahā-manāḥ tatra everywhere the king visited upasṛṇvānaḥ continuously he heard sva-pūrveṣāṁ about his own forefathers mahā-ātmanām who are all great devotees of the Lord pragīyamāṇaṁ unto those who were thus addressing cha also yaśaḥ glories Kṛṣṇa Lord Kṛṣṇa mahātmya glorious acts sūcakam indicating ātmānaṁ his personal self cha also paritrātam delivered aśvatthāmno of aśvatthāma astra weapon tejasaḥ powerful rays snehaṁ affection cha also vṛṣṇi-pārthānāṁ between descendants of Vṛṣṇi and those of those of Pritha. Teṣāṁ of all of them, bhaktiṁ devotion, cha also keśave unto Lord Kṛṣṇa, tebhyaḥ unto them, parama extremely, santuṣṭaḥ pleased, prīty attraction, ujjṛmbhita pleasingly open, locanaḥ one who has such eyes, mahā-dhanāni valuable riches, vāsāṁsi clothing, dadau gave in charity, hārān necklace, mahā-manāḥ one who has a broader outlook. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation, please repeat. Wherever the king visited, he continuously heard the glories of his forefathers, who were all devotees of the Lord, and also of the glorious acts of Lord Kṛṣṇa. He also heard how he himself had been protected by the Lord from the powerful heat of the weapon of aśvatthāmno. People also mentioned the great affection between the descendants of vṛṣṇi and prīty due to the latter's great devotion to Lord keśave. The king, being very pleased with the singers of such glories, opened his eyes in great satisfaction. Out of magnanimity, he was pleased to award them with very valuable necklaces and clothing. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Kings and great personalities of the state are presented with welcome address. This is a system from time immemorial, and Maharaja Parikshit, since he was one of the well-known emperors of the world, was also presented with addresses of welcome in all parts of the world as he visited those places. The subject matter of those welcome addresses was Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa means Kṛṣṇa and his eternal devotees, as the king means the king and his confidential associates. Kṛṣṇa and his unalloyed devotees cannot be separated, and therefore glorifying the devotee means glorifying the Lord and vice versa. Maharaja Parikshit would not have been glad to hear about the glories of his forefathers like Maharaja Yudhishthira and Arjuna had they not been connected with the acts of Lord Kṛṣṇa. The Lord descends specifically to deliver his devotees, paritrātam sadhūnām. The devotees are glorified by the presence of the Lord because they cannot live for a moment without the presence of the Lord and his different energies. The Lord is present for the devotees by his acts and glories, and therefore Maharaja Parikshit felt the presence of the Lord when he was glorified by his acts, especially when he was saved by the Lord in the womb of his mother. The devotees of the Lord are never in danger, but in the material world, which is full of dangers at every step, the devotees are apparently placed into dangerous positions, and when they are saved by the Lord is glorified. Lord Kṛṣṇa would not have been glorified as a speaker of the Bhagavad Gita had his devotees, like the Pandavas, not been entangled in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. All such acts of the Lord were mentioned in the addresses of welcome, and Maharaja Parikshit, in full satisfaction, rewarded those presented such addresses. The difference between the presentation of welcome address today and in those days is that formerly the welcome addresses were presented to a person like Maharaja Parikshit. The welcome addresses were full of facts and figures, and those who presented such addresses were sufficiently rewarded, whereas in the present days the welcome addresses are presented not always with factual statements but to please the post holder, and often they are full of flattering lies, and rarely are those who present such welcome addresses rewarded by the poor receiver. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande shigrum dinadaranam paramanandamatam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram katanchana smrite yasmin dushkaram sukaram bhavet vismrite vipritam syat Shri Chaitanyam namamitam Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So I'll read the translation one more time. Wherever the king visited, he continuously heard the glories of his great forefathers, who were all devotees of the Lord, and also of the glorious acts of Lord Kṛṣṇa. He also heard how he himself had been protected by the Lord from the powerful heat of the weapon of aśvatthāma. People also mentioned the great affection between the descendants of Vṛṣṇi and Pritha due to the latter's great devotion to Lord Keśava. The king, being very pleased with the singers of such glories, opened his eyes in great satisfaction. Out of the magnanimity, he was pleased to award them very valuable necklaces and clothing. So we are in a very important chapter, how Parikshit received the age of Kali. So here, as a very responsible king, Parikshit Maharaj is visiting different parts of his empire. In the previous shloka, we would have seen how Parikshit Maharaj was visiting various varshas, Bharata Varsha, Ketumala, Dvipa, so different islands, different varshas. He is visiting different places, right? Wherever he was going, he was hearing the glories of his forefathers. In this verse, mahātmanām, Mahatma, the word Mahatma is used. So Mahatma means a great soul. Mahā-ātmā, great soul. So, and there is another term opposite to that. There is Duratma. Duratma is, Prabhupada uses the word in his meaning for this word in his lecture on this verse as mischievous person. Mahatma is a great person, and Duratma is a mischievous person, mischievous soul. So today we are going to dwell upon more about the subject matter of Mahatma. So who is a Mahatma? Mahatma is a person who has dedicated everything in the service of Krishna. Such a person should be called as Mahatma. His thoughts, words, deeds, everything is dedicated to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a person should be called as Mahatma. So in Bhagavad Gita, in a couple of places, Krishna very clearly explains about the subject matter of Mahatma and how rare Mahatmas are. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. It's very rare. It's a very rare soul who has clearly understood who Vasudeva or the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. Not everybody can understand easily about the concept of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah. So such souls are very, very rare. So now the question may arise, so who can become a Mahatma? So we are saying it's very, Krishna is saying it's very, very rare. Then who can become a Mahatma? Can anyone become a Mahatma? Yeah, definitely anybody can become Mahatma, right? But there is a set of practices, set of qualifications that we need to undergo or acquire in order to become a Mahatma, right? So whoever is engaged in the continuous service to please, the only objective, only motive should be to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And continuously when one renders in such mood, so such people should be called as Mahatma. Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter, Krishna explains, Mahātmānastu mam partha devim prakritim ashritaha bhajanti ananya manaso. Bhajanti ananya manas. Ananya. Ananya means what? Without any expectation, always and without any expectation, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The same thing is explained as the definition for pure devotional service by Srila Rupa Goswami also. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavritam anukulyena krishnano shilanam bhaktiruttama. So anyone performs activities with only one single motive, that is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, without any other abhilasha, without any other desire, any other motive. Anya abhilashita shunyam. All the other motives should become zero. Only one motive should be there, that is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such person is called Mahatma. And it is not just one time or two times. It is continuously one should render such services. The forefathers of Arjuna, Parikshit Maharaj, the Pandavas basically, they were all in that mood. Arjuna was always ready to fulfill the desires of Krishna. In the initial stages of Bhagavad Gita, I'm sure all of you are very much aware, Arjuna did not want to fight. He was quoting so many different reasons why he should not fight. From the Vedic literatures, he was quoting references why he should not fight. And then he was so totally confused what he should do and what he should not do. As a Kshatriya, he is supposed to fight. But he is going to fight against his grandfather Bhishma and his teacher Drona and his brothers and uncles and friends. So he was totally puzzled and perplexed. He didn't know what to do. Then he said to Krishna, "Oh my dear Krishna, now I am a surrendered soul. Please let me know what I should do. Please instruct me what I should do. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam." Then Krishna took charge of his devotee Arjuna's life, how he should lead. Then based on Krishna's instruction, Arjuna followed. So here Arjuna was very, very much ready to do whatever Krishna said. So that is the mood of a Mahatma. Sva-pūrveṣāṁ paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaje ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Ahetuki apratihata, unmotivated and uninterrupted. the service to Krishna should be unmotivated and uninterrupted. Such devotees, such souls are called Mahatma. Not like the karmis. Karmis are always after something. They want something in return. They also approach Krishna. They also go through the Vedic literature and the guidelines of the Vedas to acquire something. But they have some desire to acquire something. So they should not be called as Mahatma. Like in the current day world, some great personality comes, he is called as Mahatma. A title is given. Like for example, during early 1900s, there is a great freedom fighter called Gandhi in India. So he was awarded a title, Mahatma Gandhi. The Mahatma there has a different connotation totally. It's not the connotation or the meaning that is given by Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. He is on value basis level, he is a good soul. But Krishna is not talking at the value basis here. Krishna is talking about the supreme devotional service, topmost devotional service. One who renders that soul is called as Mahatma. Not anyone and everyone. Right? So we should understand clearly the difference. These titles of Mahatma and Goswamis and all, it's not just like that given. It is qualified. People qualify to become a Goswami or Mahatma or things like that. So such souls are considered as Mahatma. Not anyone and everyone. So it is very important for us to understand this concept. So those who are Mahatmas, those who have come, who has dedicated their life fully for the service of Krishna, right? So such souls are very, very rare. The jnanis, after prolonged analysis of various theories and all, they come to a platform of knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's merely a knowledge. But after that, they have to start doing something. What is that? Bhajanti ananya manaso. They have to start worshipping. They have to start rendering devotional service. Not stay at the platform of just the knowledge alone. Right? So they have to start doing activities. So Prabhupada translates bhakti not as devotion. Bhakti means devotional service. Prabhupada translates everywhere as bhakti as devotional service. So there should be some concrete, practical activity relating to devotion. That's called devotional service. Right? So such jnanis should start rendering activities to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then they become nice devotees. Then they can be called as Mahatmas. So they may acquire the knowledge, but that knowledge need to be put into practice. Then it becomes devotional service. Otherwise it stays as just knowledge only. So it is very important to understand that just because when we come to the first class of any spiritual class, the first thing we come to know is we are not this body but spirit soul. This is the first thing. Everywhere Prabhupada mentions this throughout all the purports you see. Wherever he talks about soul and body, then immediately he says we are not this body but spirit. So the knowledge is there. Knowledge is available for everyone. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That knowledge is available. But what do we do after getting that knowledge? That's where the Mahatma concept comes into play. What do we do with that knowledge? Based on the knowledge, we have to practice. We may have a big recipe book in our hand. Cooking with Kurma, one big book is there. Have you come across that book? I'm sure most of you would have done. Cooking with Kurma. Very beautiful pictures. Everything is there in that. Everything is there. But when we start making, then we will know the nuances of all these things, all the nitty-gritties. Right? When we constantly start practicing again and again few dishes that is there in that book, then we understand how intricate devotional service is. It's not so easy. The process is easy. The application is difficult. Prabhupada says in one of the purports. The process of devotional service is very easy, but its application is difficult. Why difficult? Because we have to do consistently. We will come across so many challenges. Padam padam yat vipadam. Every step there is danger. Prabhupada mentions in this purport also. Every step in this material world there is danger. There is a challenge in every step. Whether we are a devotee or a non-devotee, doesn't matter. Everyone has a challenge to face. But not for those who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they can cross over those things very quickly, very easily. Because the Lord takes charge of such devotees. Like in the case of Pandavas, if you see, Pandavas went through so many difficulties, so many challenges. We can't even imagine the amount of challenges that the Pandavas went through. We are nowhere near them. They went through so many difficulties. In all those difficult situations, they were dependent on Kṛṣṇa. They were fully dependent on Kṛṣṇa. And Kṛṣṇa dutifully came to their rescue at all times. During Draupadi's Vastraharan time, during the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in so many different places, Kṛṣṇa came to their rescue. When their lac palace was put into fire, then Kṛṣṇa came to their rescue. So many different places. When Durvasa Muni with his 10,000 disciples came to the forest to have a feast, then Kṛṣṇa came to their rescue immediately. So when we depend fully on Kṛṣṇa and do our duty properly, then Kṛṣṇa comes to our rescue. So it's a question of the degree of our dependence. The degree of dependence varies about the reciprocation of Kṛṣṇa. Ye etamam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyam. To whatever extent we surrender, depend on Kṛṣṇa, to that extent Kṛṣṇa reciprocates to us. Right? So Kṛṣṇa reciprocates to us by giving us enough knowledge according to our level of dependence. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayan. He gives the intelligence. And if you don't want to depend on Kṛṣṇa, he gives the forgetfulness also. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam. He gives the forgetfulness also. It's not that Kṛṣṇa is forcing you, oh, you must come and surrender to me. No, he doesn't say that. After giving all the instruction, Kṛṣṇa told Arjuna, now I have told whatever I have to tell, you do whatever you want to do. The choice is given. So bhakti is not forced on anyone at all. Bhakti is coming by choice. The love of Godhead is by choice, not by force. Nobody can tell a boy, hey boy, you go and love that girl. No, it's not by force. So it comes by realization, by practice, by constantly meditating and rendering service to Kṛṣṇa. In due course of time we come to that point. And then Kṛṣṇa reciprocates to us according to our level of surrender. So this is another very important point for us to understand. So we have to depend on Kṛṣṇa all the time. We have to depend on Kṛṣṇa. So how do we depend on Kṛṣṇa? How do we know Kṛṣṇa? We can know Kṛṣṇa through a spiritual master, through the Vaishnava association. We can get the determination to depend on Kṛṣṇa through the association of devotees. Mahat seva, by rendering service to the devotees. Rendering service to the pure Vaishnavas is non-different from rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By pleasing the spiritual master, we can please the Supreme Lord Kṛṣṇa. Right? We recite this in the Guru Ashtakam prayer every day. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadat nagati kutopi. So by pleasing the spiritual master, we can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these great souls, the Pandavas, they were glorified all over the place. Why? Because they are the great devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa. Because of that. Parikshit Maharaj is very pleased to hear about his forefathers. Why? Because they are all great devotees of Kṛṣṇa. Otherwise, Prabhupada mentions here, otherwise he would not have been satisfied or pleased hearing about them. So it's very important. So the guiding factor, the guiding principle is whether Krishna is present in that activity or not, whether we have the motive of pleasing Krishna or not. That is the guiding principle. We teach our children, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. In the kindergarten schools, there is a rhyme, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna, Hari Hari Bolo, Hari Hari Bolo. Where is this coming from? This is coming from the scriptures. Smartavyam satadam Vishnu, Vismartavyam na jatu chit. So this is basically this. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. This is taught from the childhood to the children. At home and schools run by ISKCON institution. It's taught like this. So it's all deeply imprinted into the heart of these youngsters. So when they grow up, and then it's easy for them to take up to the further principles of devotional service. So this is very, very important. For Parikshit Maharaj, it was even more advanced. Right in the womb of his mother, Lord Kṛṣṇa personally went there to protect. So he had the darshan of Krishna right in the womb of his mother. Such a rare, fortunate soul Parikshit Maharaj is. So wherever he went, he heard these glories from all the people in different places. It's one of the duties of the king to visit different places. There's a duty of the king to visit different places to ensure that everything is happening, going on properly or not. That's the duty. So wherever the king went, he heard the glories of his forefathers, how wonderful, how great they were. When he was hearing about his forefathers, he was also hearing about the wonderful pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna. So these two are, Prabhupada mentions, the devotees of the Lord and Lord are inseparable. You cannot separate them. Wherever Krishna is there, Krishna's devotees will be there. Right? You cannot separate Krishna and Krishna's. Krishna didn't have pastime alone. Whenever Krishna advented in any form, there are always his associates who are there to enable, to assist in his pastimes. He didn't come alone. Even when he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Narada went requesting Krishna to protect the conditioned souls in this age of Kali. So Krishna said, yes, I will appear as Chaitanya, but please ask others to also to appear. Then Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Narada, everyone, so many different personalities also appeared. So Krishna doesn't appear alone. He always comes with his associates. Right? So when we appreciate or glorify the devotee of the Lord, Krishna is pleased. When we glorify Krishna, the devotees of the Lord are pleased. So this is very important for us to understand. Unlike today's glorification. In today's world, the glorification means somebody comes, because of his powerful position, we glorify. Prabhupada mentions in the purport here. People, because of the position, he's a great personality, if I don't glorify, we are in big trouble. Just to butter him, we tell so many things which may not be the facts. But the people here who are glorifying, they were giving the facts and figures exactly what happened in the past, glorifying with references. This happened, that happened, Krishna helped them, Pandavas depended on Krishna, the Vrishnis were glorifying, they had wonderful relationship with Arjuna because Arjuna is very dear to Lord Krishna. So like that, so many different things were explained, glorified by these residents. This is full of facts and figures. Whereas in today's world, if any so-called great personality visit one place to another, people do glorify. That practice is there, but the intent is different. The intent is full of just to flatter them, as Prabhupada mentions here. It's for flattering. So there's a great difference. So welcoming is a different, the concept of welcoming is there from time immemorial. Any personality comes, there is a huge welcome address. When Prabhupada goes to any part of the world, the devotees come with a huge kirtan party. And then right in the airport, Prabhupada is welcomed with nice garlands, with perfumes, with flower bouquets and nice kirtans. They form lines on both sides with nice kirtans, and Prabhupada walks in a very elegant way. He just walks with his head high. So nice welcome preparations were made by the devotees, the disciples of Prabhupada, followers of Prabhupada when he comes in. Right? When Prabhupada entered the TOVP a couple of months, a month back or something like that, great elaborate arrangements were made to welcome Prabhupada into TOVP, the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. The children and adults were all formed morning lines with carrying their flags and lamps and holy waters. So many arrangements were made, right? And then so many people started glorifying Prabhupada. So many whole day, 2-day program was there about the glorification of Srila Prabhupada, a great personality, right? So the mood is to glorify Prabhupada, because Prabhupada has taken shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa. And Kṛṣṇa would have been pleased for sure, because his pure devotee has been glorified like this. So Kṛṣṇa is pleased, Prabhupada will be pleased, and it's a purification for the devotees who are glorifying and participating in this whole festival. So everyone is winning in this. It's win-win-win for everyone. Right? Everybody gets purified in this process. When we glorify the pure devotees, when we glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa, everybody is purified. Unlike in the material atmosphere, the glorification or welcoming address takes place. All hectic, too much hectic. So this is very important for us to understand. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited, he was going from village to village, thousands of people would follow him. Thousands of people will follow him. Whether they know him or they don't know him, everybody follows him. So it's like every day is like a huge festival. They had so much of love and affection. They were exhibiting so much of love and affection. So that should be the mood. And here these people, they were glorifying the forefathers of Pandavas with so much of intense love and gratitude towards Pandavas. So much of gratitude they were expressing while they are glorifying the Pandavas and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa. So when we glorify such personalities, we become purified, because we are glorifying a pure Vaishnava, a Mahatma. So each and every one of us we all have the potential to become such Mahatmas, provided we follow the footsteps of the great Acharyas, the guidelines provided by Srila Rupa Goswami. Yes, provided in Nectar of Instruction. If we go to the first 5 verses, full of instructions for practicing, all of us, all the practicing devotees. So we should intelligently, enthusiastically follow those guidelines. Then we have every possibility of becoming a Mahatma. Our motive should be to become, should practice pure devotional service at all times. That should be our motive. Our motive should be to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa. Our motive should be to please the spiritual master. Our motive should be to please the Vaishnavas. If we act in that mood, then definitely we have every possibility to become a Mahatma and continue to be a Mahatma. We are in the initial stages. Some of us are in the initial stages, some of us are in the very advanced stages. So it's a journey. So we have to go through the path, and then over a period of time we'll attain the special mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to enter the Goloka Vrindavana. So that is the ultimate goal for all of us, right? Ultimate goal should be to help others, and then in the process we can also get back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. If you have any comments or questions, we can share. Hare Krishna, Mataji. There's a mic here.
Thank you. Just as you mentioned about all the verses from Bhagavad Gita regarding Mahatmas, so those are the proof that actually Vaishnavas and devotees are very rare. Bahunam Janmante, that one, Manusyanam Sahasresu, so they are very rare, and therefore taking to bhakti means they are already great souls according to Krishna, they are already Mahatma. So for devotees, if we remember that how rare they are, then there will be less chance of commit offenses. But I appreciate your mention of the words that as for personal reason we should aspire going further and further. So the main point I get is that we have to be very careful saying these Vaishnavas are actually great souls.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for nice class. Prabhuji, just I want to know that in the terms of category of 3 categories of devotees like Kanishta, Madhyam and Uttamadhikari, so is there any difference of the goal for the 3 categories, or the one goal only that you mentioned to achieve Krishna Prem or go back to home, go back to Godhead, or there is some different categories of the goal for different category of devotees?
So the goal for everyone is same, that is to go back home, back to Godhead. But in the process, different levels of devotees take up the responsibility either to come up or to help others, right? One can render pure devotional service even at the Kanishta Adhikari level. So there is no restriction at all. No, pure devotional service is restricted only for Uttama Adhikari, nothing like that. As Mataji was telling, just sharing, if anybody chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra even once in pure state of mind, then he should be considered as a Vaishnava, right? And then all respect should be given to him. So at Kanishta Adhikari level, one can practice pure devotional service. But at the Kanishta Adhikari level, probably the frequency may be little less, because in the Kanishta Adhikari level, some disturbance will always come and go. Sometimes we get enamored by some other attractions and things like that. But definitely the possibility of rendering pure devotional service is there at the very beginning itself. So basically we have to continue that by constantly associating with the devotees at the higher platform and then go to that level. And whereas the Uttamadhikari levels, they are in a different platform altogether. But they mercifully come down to Madhya Adhikari level for the purpose of preaching, for the purpose of helping the devotees to bring them up from their existing levels. So Uttamadhikari level, there is no question of preaching. So they have to come down to Madhyama Adhikari level to preach and pull people up and then take them to the higher levels. So as far as the goal is concerned, the goal is same, but we facilitate at different levels differently. At Madhyama Adhikari level, we differentiate, oh, she is a nice devotee, he is not a nice devotee, I like him, I don't like him. All this differentiation takes place at Madhyama level. But at Uttama Adhikari level, Pandita Samadarshinaha, what is that? Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Gavi Hastini, Shuni Chaiva Shupakeja, Pandita Samadarshina. They see everyone equally. There is no like, oh, this Prabhu is very dear to me, this Prabhu is not dear to me. No, those differences will not be there at Uttamadhikari level. So these differentiations are mainly there for us to enable devotional service and work effectively and move forward step by step to different levels. As far as the goal is concerned, ultimate goal is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, please the spiritual master. So that's the goal. Then when we achieve that goal, automatically the result comes of going back to Godhead or associate with Krishna in different pastimes and things like that. So different things comes in. Those are all outcomes. Even liberation is not the goal of any Vaishnava. Our Gaudiya Vaishnava's goal is not liberation. Our Gaudiya Vaishnava's goal is to help, assist in the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is that? To preach. Yare deketa hai kaho Krishna upadesh. So give Krishna consciousness to each and every one that we come across. That is the goal of Gaudiya Vaishnava. Liberation is just a byproduct. Liberation comes just chasing us. Liberation will come, oh, I want to catch hold of this devotee. Liberation comes. We don't go behind liberation. So the goal is to please the spiritual masters, please the Supreme Personality of God. And that's there right from the beginning. Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna. We'll take that as a last question before it becomes 9.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thanks for beautifully explaining the word Mahatma. And you said Mahatma is to who please the Krishna, and pleasing Krishna means first pleasing Vaishnavas. So when we are surrounded by different type of Vaishnavas, in so many temples, so we try our best. No Vaishnava should hurt, or no Vaishnava aparadh should be done. But practically, because every Vaishnava is different background and different mood, so but still Vaishnava aparadh happens, and we are not able to please every Vaishnava. So practically, how we do it?
Yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends practically. Devotional service is practical. There is nothing theory. First of all, we should understand nothing is theoretical in devotional service. Whatever is read in the scriptures is practical. This is the first point we all should understand. Sometimes we may not be able to achieve that. That's maybe a different thing. But we should understand clearly whatever is mentioned in the scriptures are very, very practical. Nothing impractical is mentioned in the scriptures. We may be able to achieve it, and we may not be able to achieve it because of our own anarthas and things like that, different levels. But these are very, very practical. This is point number 1. Point number 2, we all should remember the third verse of Sikshashtakam prayer. Trunadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amani namanadena kirtaniya sada harihi. So we should keep reminding ourselves every single day about this verse. When we get up, when we sleep, when we go through the challenging situation, we should be very, very patient, very tolerant. We should offer all respects to everyone and do not expect respect from others. When we follow these 4, the possibility of committing Vaishnava aparadh is close to nil. Right? Many times, because of our own anarthas, we have a tendency to think, oh, why did he tell like that? Somebody tells you are a fool. Then we should ask, yes, I am a fool. Why? Why I am a fool? After thousands and thousands of janmas, hundreds and thousands of janmas, we have been hearing, we have been told by Krishna and all his associates in so many different ways. We have been told, you are not this body but spirit soul. Don't go behind sense gratification. Please try to please Krishna. This we would have heard so many times and so many lifetimes. Still we are indulging into the same thing. That means what? We are foolish. So somebody calls, we are fools. Yes, Prabhu, I am a fool. Let me try. Please give your blessings so that I can come out of this situation. So that maturity level we should reach in due course of time when we practice Krishna consciousness. Right? Haridas Thakur did not protest when he was beaten in so many different marketplaces. He just accepted. Jesus Christ accepted all. He tolerated everything. He said, no, please, they are ignorant. Please forgive them. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur was also in the same mood. And like that, so many wonderful Vaishnavas are there in our history who tolerated everything. Right? So we just have to tolerate. But when we tolerate what happens, then Krishna is there above us. Then he sees what is our mood. Then he comes to the rescue some way or the other. So that's why in this purport also Prabhupada mentions, devotees are put into danger, put into difficulties. Even though we are practicing devotees are put into difficulties. Then Krishna comes to the rescue. Then Krishna is glorified. I'm sure all of us present here would have some incident or other in our lives where we would have seen the hand of Krishna coming to our rescue. I'm sure, I'm very, very confident, most of us present here would have realized the hand of Krishna, some way or the other. So we just have to depend on Krishna. We just have to work on pleasing our Guru and Gauranga and Vaishnavas as much as possible from us, from our side, without offending anyone. If somebody is offensive to us, we'll just pray. The moment we react to that, then it becomes a problem. So we can respond to that situation in so many different ways. That's why we should always have the association of nice Vaishnavas around us to remind us every now and then. Then it becomes little more easier. Our family members can help, our God brothers, God sisters can help, the senior Vaishnavas can help, the books of Prabhupada can help. So many helps are available. The favorable winds, Bhagavatam explained, these are all favorable winds. The literatures are all favorable winds for us to cross over this situation. So when we focus, keep reminding ourselves, no, this is not the way to deal with that. Just remain calm, tolerate. So we should keep reminding ourselves. It's a practice. Sometimes we fail. Again, we get up and then rectify ourselves, and it's like learning how to ride a bicycle. I don't know anybody has learned bicycle without falling down even once. In our childhood days, we fall down. The small babies, when they get up to walk, they do fall down. They hold some wall or something, or mother's sari or something, they hold. But sometimes they fall down. But they again get up to walk. Just because they are falling down, you say, oh baby, you are falling down, don't walk at all. No, we don't say that. Right? We just have to try again, and after some time we will become experienced in walking or cycling or practicing devotional service without committing offenses. We will do that. But that constant practice needs to happen. That's why we should depend on Krishna, Vaishnavas. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhyevacha patitānaṁ pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I'm not ending the class, I'm just quoting a shloka. So Vaishnavas are the mercy, kalpa vriksha. They are very, very merciful. And then they can offer us all help to us. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhyevacha patitānaṁ pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Jagat Guru Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.